Good afternoon. I'm Karen Larson. This is day 5 since those severe storms slammed into Oklahoma. And once again, our city leaders are holding another storm response update. You can see Mayor G.T. Bynum is at the podium. Let's listen in.
If you're watching this and you don't have easy access to recharging your phone or whatever, feel free to turn this off. And in about an hour, we will have all the useful information that will come out of this press conference up in a document on the City of Tulsa's social media channels. Today, I again want to express my great gratitude for our partners at the Choctaw Nation and at Church on the Move, who facilitated a tremendous distribution of ice to Tulsans in need. Tomorrow, I'm announcing that we will have another opportunity for folks to pick up ice, this time thanks to our partners at the Muskogee Creek Nation. This will be held at the River Spirit Casino in the south parking lot. That's 8330 Riverside Parkway here in Tulsa. That'll start at 8 a.m. and it'll run until 8 o'clock at night or when the ice runs out. As I've said before, when we have these partners come forward and offer assistance, it means a great deal to our community, and I really want to thank the Muskogee Creek Nation for standing with us in this. I want to provide an update on traffic signals. That seems, as you've heard Chief Franklin talk about at these, that's one of the big public safety concerns for our community right now, is getting those back up and running. Out of 500 traffic signals, that's how many we have approximately across the city, there are about 200 that still need power or are in flash mode as the power has been restored, but they're not running on their circuits quite yet. So that's about 40% of all of the traffic signals citywide still need power or need programming. We've got crews out there right now resetting these signals that are flashing, that have had power restored but aren't working correctly, as fast as we can get people in all parts of the city. And some have to be reset multiple times. If the power fails, somebody has to go back out and reset it again. But I'm grateful for the team in our streets department who are out doing that on top of a number of other things. Speaking of streets, I can report today that based on everything that we are hearing out in the field, all of our arterial and neighborhood streets have been cleared. This is really days quicker than we were anticipating. I think it's a real testament to the folks that we have working on our street crews here at the City of Tulsa. They are now pivoting from going down every street in the City of Tulsa and clearing them so that people can drive through them, to now going back and picking up a lot of those large tree trunks and limbs that need to be cleared, especially in neighborhood streets, before we can even start the curbside pickup program that we've started, or that we've announced we will be doing later. I'm also really grateful, and again, another partner that I want to announce, the Oklahoma Department of Transportation and the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority are going to be providing equipment and personnel and joining those crews that are going around picking up all of that heavy debris from the sides of streets and neighborhoods across the city to help get it to our green waste site that we're using for the City of Tulsa. So I want to thank Secretary Gatz and the team at ODOT and the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority for standing side by side with our street crews to get Tulsa streets cleared up and help get some of this heavy debris off of the side of our roads. On green waste, as I've mentioned before, we've got really three main options for folks. Well, two main options. So the first one is simply to put stuff in 5-foot segments at your curb as best you can, and then we will be coming by to pick that up. If it's the really heavy stuff that's been pushed to the side of the road, let these teams that I just talked about from the City of Tulsa, from the Oklahoma Department of Transportation, Oklahoma Turnpike Authority come by and pick it up. You don't have to worry about cutting, a 20-foot tall tree into 5-foot segments. They will take care of that. You don't have to worry about that. The other one is our green waste site, which has been up and running and has been in extremely high demand. We're hearing about hundreds of people. In fact, I think it is, just yesterday, we processed over 550 vehicles through that site. So there's obviously tremendous demand at this site. And one of the questions that we've had is, well, why don't you open up more sites? The reality is, one, to have a physical location where you can put this much vegetation is challenging. We also have to be able to staff the site to keep it safe. And everybody that we have that we're pulling off of a green waste site isn't out clearing debris out in the community and keeping our streets cleared. So that's why we've focused on keeping one site for citizens to bring stuff to and to drop out that's totally free for you to drop off, and then one site that is for governmental entities for all this stuff that we're going around picking up on city streets moving forward that they can easily get to and drop things off. There are plenty of sites, if you want to pay, that you can go to that are not free and are other opportunities. But if you want a free site, we've got this one for you that is available. A really troubling, to me at least, phenomenon that we're seeing is that folks are opting to just dump stuff at schools, school playgrounds and school grounds around the city, and in Tulsa parks. Our parks, in case you aren't aware, have sustained tremendous damage in this storm. We have 135 city parks. Based on our best assessments, over 100 of them have sustained significant damage. And so these are the parks that our community relies on for families to enjoy, and we're going to have a whole lot of work to do in those over the next several weeks to get them cleared so that they're safe for people to use again. You dumping your own stuff in there does not help with that effort. Similarly, we talk all the time about how education in Oklahoma is underfunded, and yet you would go dump stuff on school grounds so that our school districts have to pay to clean it up. Ridiculous. So just take the extra time to go to the free place that we are providing you to drop your stuff off there, rather than asking children's playgrounds or children's parks to shoulder the burden for you, please. I now want to introduce the PSO Regional Communications Manager, Wayne Green. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I have some progress to report to you, and it's good news. Our crews have restored 144,000 PSO customers to power. That's about 70% from the peak of 204,000. We still have 60,394 customers out as of 3:30 today. We're working night and day to restore those people. I have a visible demonstration of the enormity of the damage to the electrical grid today. These are what we call hazards, and I have a PDF of this map that I can share with any of you later on to put on your websites. But these are what we call hazards, which would include broken poles, downed lines, trees and lines, to our distribution system only. It doesn't include the transmission system. And as you can see, it looks like someone took a shotgun and fired it at a map of metropolitan Tulsa. The damage is overwhelming. The damage is at, I said this before, but the damage is at all levels of the power grid. It's to our transmission system. We had 15 transmission lines that were damaged. It's to our distribution system, which brings the power from the substation into your neighborhood, and it's even, to the level of the line that comes from the pole down to your house. We still have 3,500 people working constantly from 20 states to continue the effort to restore power. We appreciate our customers' patience. This is a moment that will reveal Tulsa's strength and its resilience. And I'm going to introduce Roger Ramsire from Cox Cable. I'm sorry, from Cox Media. Sorry.
Thanks so much, Wayne. As the largest telecom provider in the metro area, I want everyone to be advised that the employees of Cox Communications and our contractors have been working tirelessly since early Sunday morning. I would want to start by giving a big shout out to our great partners at PSO, who have obviously also been working tirelessly, because in spite of the fact that I have gotten numerous calls from some very smart people who say, hey, my power's out, but could you go ahead and turn the internet back on? You got to have the power. And so we have been in close partnership. We are looking very tightly at what areas have had power restored so that we may then closely follow behind. I also want to give a big shout out to our great city, to Mayor Bynum, to Tulsa Fire Department, Tulsa Police and Emergency Management, as well as our county commissioners with whom we have been in close touch as well. Obviously, safety is paramount. You've heard the discussion about four-way stops. Chief Franklin yesterday talked about the importance of intersections, and as a company with a large fleet of vehicles out on the streets of Tulsa, I can attest to you that there are some who are still learning the concept of a four-way stop, and we hope that safety will become paramount in the minds of all who travel on the streets of Tulsa, Oklahoma. I also would like to clarify as well that we've had a number of questions from people whose power has been restored, thank you PSO, but are wondering why the internet is not just immediately coming on if power is back on their street. And the answer to that is that our network is very complex, and there may be upstream network amplifiers, power boxes, and technical hubs whose power is still not restored. So it might be an issue a half a mile or a 3/4 of a mile away from your home, as opposed to just the fact your own power came on. We are hoping that Cox will follow as quickly as possible, but that is one thing that merits explanation. From the very beginning, we, in concert with emergency preparedness, have prioritized hospitals, emergency responders, obviously the 911 telephone circuits, and but again, until power is restored to certain areas, there will continue to be some delays. That having been said, while at the height of the storm on Sunday morning, we had more than half of our customer base without internet, telephone, cable, and home security. We are now down, as of 3:30 this afternoon, to just under 20% of our customer base. So terrific progress, thanks to the hardworking power restoration crews, along with the Cox crews closely to follow. I also want to emphasize the good news about generators is they do work, and our large technical facilities, of which there are 10 throughout the community through which internet traffic travels, 8 of those 10 have now been restored. They were all on generator power from the very beginning. We are now down to 2 that are awaiting that power but are still fully functional in that regard. One caution for tree companies and other responders is that if the public can avoid putting any branches and other debris on any of the green transformer or amplifier boxes, there are hundreds of those spread throughout the city, that would be appreciated, because we're finding several that are piled up with large amounts of debris, and that we appreciate the opportunity to get into them more quickly without having to remove that debris. I would also say that if there is digging that needs to occur, that we would respectfully request that all responders call Okie 811 before taking bulldozers and removing trees. There are still underground power and fiber and cable lines that can be heavily damaged, and by calling Okie 811, they will respond quickly. They have also brought in reinforcements. We, like PSO, have brought in crews from out of state so far, from Arkansas, from throughout Kansas and Oklahoma City, and in the next coming days we will have from other Cox markets far beyond, as far away as San Diego. So with that, I would like to introduce our esteemed Fire Chief, Chief Baker. Thanks.
Good afternoon. So Tulsa Fire Department's operations are beginning to stabilize as they are each day, and we've been doing quite well operationally with staffing, and all stations are functioning well without any damage. I want to remind folks about one new issue that we will see over the next few days is the debris that is being lined the streets and in piles and different places is drying all the time. The moisture is leaving those mulch piles, the piles of branches, the piles of leaves are now drying. And so we have, until we can get a comprehensive plan to get that stuff started to get out of the neighborhoods, those will be dry, tender material on the roadways. So what I'm asking is folks to please be cautious. Anytime you're using anything such as a lawnmower or anything that may kick a spark, or anybody who is tempted to discard smoking materials outside of their vehicle. So we want to make sure that we, again, reduce the fire risk related to tree debris and other things that we may have in our yards over the next few days until we can get that process underway to get that cleaned up. Talk a little bit about structure fires. We had a surge yesterday afternoon of fires. We had, in fact, 2 actual working fires at the same time that were pretty significant. I want to be clear that of the 5 fires that we had yesterday, there was only 1 that was absolutely associated with any kind of power problem. So we arrested an arsonist yesterday morning. We had a juvenile fire set yesterday afternoon about 5:30, and then we had another apartment fire. I'm not sure of the cause of it, but we only had 1 fire associated with power. So where I'm going with this is that the speed of work with our partners at PSO has really reduced the fire risk. I think the messaging that we put out with your assistance early on about weatherhead safety and inspections and making sure folks are ready to receive power has been very, very, heeded by our residents. And thank you very much for doing so across the city. I was very optimistic after our conversation about open burns. We went from 6 the previous day to 0 yesterday. So folks, I appreciate the decrease in that. However, today we kicked back in with a couple of people that we've had to go have a conversation with about burning debris in their yard. And so again, please do not burn debris, piles, or anything in your yard. Allow the folks coming around to pick that up to do so. On lines down calls, we are still seeing some lines down in the back of yards and mostly in the Midtown area. We're working closely with PSO on those, as occasionally debris does fall as we get a little breeze or weak poles fail until they can get repaired. But remain alert for those in your backyard. I saw a transformer today that became energized in a Midtown home and started a small fire in the backyard. So do remain alert if you have transformers or other lines down in your backyard. Just keep a little eye out there. Finally, let's talk about the heat. It's not going to get any better. It is impacting all responders and the folks working to restore the power grid, trying to remain hydrated as well. And obviously, those folks who are without power, it's important to remain hydrated. If you can, if you do not have a health problem that prohibits you from taking a electrolyte drink or electrolyte replacement drink, you should alternate that with water. Most importantly, utilize the cooling stations that are available. Your family, your neighbors, get to those. We have been many days through this process, and if you do not have power, it's very important to remain hydrated or get to a place where you can stay cool. And that's it for the fire department today. I'd like to pass it over to my esteemed colleague, Chief Wendell Franklin.
Thank you, Michael. Good afternoon. The Tulsa Police Department continues a supporting role in this disaster recovery. We are obviously still going to talk about what's happening on our streets, traffic enforcement. The traffic conditions that are out there remain the same. The traffic conditions out there, it will take you longer to get to where you're trying to go. So make sure you give yourself enough time for that, and also understand that everyone out there in the motoring public is obviously has a place that they're trying to get to. So let's keep our heads cool, and let's not make bad decisions, bad driving decisions. Remain alert. Don't be texting on your phone. Don't be Snapchatting or anything like that as you are moving across and trying to maneuver a vehicle. Most of the four-way stops, most of the intersections, as the mayor talked about earlier, some have power, some still don't. A good majority of them do have power, and those that do will have the flashing red light. A flashing red light means that you have to stop at that intersection before you enter that intersection, and then the vehicle that arrived first gets to go first. If you encounter a four-way intersection where the traffic light is a solid red, that means that you stay stopped until the light changes to green. You do not get to go when the traffic is clear. You have to stop on a solid red and wait for the light to change to green. Officers are busy, and I know there have been comments and questions about why aren't policemen out in the intersections at the major intersections. Well, the major intersections, we can't do traffic control there because it takes more than one officer to control some of these major intersections. The safest thing for us to do is to obey what that light defaults to, and if it's flashing red, that means stop. That keeps everyone safe. When we introduce people into an intersection, that creates a hazard. That creates a hazard for people trying to motor through it, and it creates a hazard for our officers that would be trying to work traffic control in those intersections. The mayor mentioned the number of intersections across our city that don't have traffic control or lighted devices right now. It would be impossible for us to staff those. We have other operations going on, so please be mindful of that. The mayor also mentioned that this illegal dumping phenomenon that's starting to occur. I can't for the life of me think of why a person would just arbitrarily decide to dump waste on school grounds or in the parks. But if we catch you doing it, I want you to know, and I'm giving you a warning, it's a $500 fine. It's a $500 fine if you cannot pay that fine, or maybe when you see the judge, he or she could sentence you to 30 days in jail. $500 fine, 30 days in jail, or wait in line at the mulch site, at the green waste site. Which do you want? I also want to talk about some other bad decisions being made. Again, we have people out there attempting to take advantage of the power being out. I talked about our increased staffing. We have increased that staffing again tonight because it is effective, because it's working. Again, in another area of the city, an individual or a couple of individuals decided to burglarize a store, a cellular store. And unfortunately for them, there just happened to be Tulsa police officers nearby. And those Tulsa police officers responded and caught two individuals burglarizing a cell phone store. This is the same cell phone store that was burglarized yesterday. So, again, we're going to be out there. We're going to be in these areas of the city that don't have power. It doesn't matter if it's a business area or a residential area. We are in those areas, and we are there to quickly respond to any type of calls that may come in. Or, in a proactive manner, we are going to look for individuals out prowling around unpowered structures attempting to exploit people. Let's not forget also the air support unit, the helicopter that we have can see at night, and it sees very well. And oftentimes that helicopter can direct officers into prowlers and individuals that are snooping around buildings that are unpowered. As a matter of fact, I think it works better when there is no power in an area. We can see a lot better with the thermal imaging. Our operations continue. We are on a restricted response still, so some calls you need to do reports on. We want you to do those reports because we need to know what's taking place in our city. So if a police officer cannot respond to you and you have been a victim of a crime, you can jump online at tulsapolice.org and complete a report, or you can call the non-emergency number at 918-596-9222, and a telephone reporting officer will put you in the queue and contact you at a later time. There are special events that everyone wants to go to that are planned, and we are still working through how we deal with those. We, just like everyone else, want to be out there to staff those events and to be out and smiling and watching people have a good time. But right now we are in an emergency operations mode. We have a declaration of a state emergency, and we have a city emergency. So right now all of our efforts are focused on the response to what has occurred these past several days. We are going to be providing traffic control and additional assistance to PSO and to the tree crews that are out there, trying to get them in and out of traffic quicker. We're going to be ramping that effort up tomorrow. So be mindful of those vehicles that are out there attempting to restore power. Again, don't drive into the rear of these vehicles as they are attempting to restore service. Bucket trucks, any of the other big vehicles that are stopped on the road. Pay attention. Do not drive into the rear of these vehicles. I cannot thank enough all of those that have been working towards this effort. PSO, Cox, the line crews that are out there, those that have come in from all over the United States, the tree crews that are out there. Someone yesterday told me I kept not mentioning tree crews. They're a huge part of the response here. And of course, I cannot forget the men and women in the uniform, police, fire, IMSA, and the volunteers that are forming to help us in this endeavor. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the Tulsa Area Emergency Manager, Executive Director Joe Kralichek.
Thank you, Chief Franklin. So we're thrilled to see that the power's coming back on and that there's a lot of great progress being made towards getting the roads cleared and things starting to return to some sense of normalcy for a lot of Tulsans. But we need to recognize that the work is going to still be ongoing. We have a tremendous amount of debris still on the ground that requires you to be cautious, and we still have a humanitarian need that's out there in the community right now. As of today, we have completed our preliminary damage assessment for residents in the area. We've discovered 987 homes, single-family homes, that were damaged in some shape, form, or fashion, 39 multifamily properties, and 41 commercial properties that sustained some sort of damage from the event on late Saturday night, early Sunday morning. And so that's a tremendous amount of damage in the homes. It's a tremendous amount of damage to businesses, in addition to all of the debris that we're working in the area. So in response to that, we are continuing to reach out to our volunteer organizations that are active in disaster. We have different crews in the area today, specifically from Samaritan's Purse and the Baptist Men's Disaster Relief Group. Those are both in the area. We do know of several area churches that are putting together large groups of volunteers this weekend to come in and assist with different neighborhoods. And in order to help facilitate that, we've created an online form for people that they can fill out to request assistance at cityoftulsa.org/weather. You go there and you'll be able to sign up for different types of connection to our charitable and volunteer organizations. So if you have any sort of needs, such as wanting to get on a list for the chainsaw crews, needing assistance in trying to find replacement groceries and address food insecurities, having issues with medication that is spoiled that you're needing replacement, or if you've had damage to your home and are trying to find more information on emergency assistance for repairs, you can go to that site. Once again, it's cityoftulsa.org/weather. And so we want to thank our volunteer organizations that are active in disaster. Those charitable groups will be coming in, and if you are able, if they have the resources, they will reach out to you once you filled out that application, and we can forward that over to them. Because we are starting to see power come back on in parts of town, a lot of our normal businesses and cooling stations are starting to reopen, places where they're not really cooling stations, but for all intents and purposes, they are locations such as libraries, churches, buildings where people like to congregate normally are all coming back on. And so we're starting to see much less demand for our cooling stations as they open right now. So based off of the ongoing demand, we are going to go ahead and close Lacey Park as a cooling station at the end of the day today. It will, of course, remain open as a community center. Our Reed Park location will also remain open as a cooling station from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., as well as all of our other Red Cross stations, which you can access that list at cityoftulsa.org/weather. With that information, we will go ahead and open up the floor for questions. Thank you.
Again, we're streaming live. If you have a question, raise your hand and come around with a microphone and address your question to a speaker. We'll start with Max.
Yes, Mayor Bynum, have you spoken to the governor yet about this situation?
No, I have still not heard from the governor. I've attempted to reach out, but have not heard back from him. Have heard several times from Lieutenant Governor Pinnell, of course. The acting governor, State Senate President Pro Tem was here yesterday, as was the Speaker of the House. Heard today from the State Superintendent of Education, also wanting to know what he could do to help, but have not heard from the governor.
Randy? No. Alex, go ahead.
So this is for Wayne. I guess we've gotten some questions about the time estimates. Mm-hmm. You know, like some people, it's their time estimates have never changed, and all of a sudden the electricity comes back on, and now people are wondering, well, okay, is it really going to be Saturday? What I guess the question is, how are those times calculated, and how much should people rely on them?
Well, the best estimate we can give you about when power will be restored to your area, it's a very complicated calculation, as you might imagine, because in many cases there are multiple problems facing any one circuit. So we're doing the best we can to keep those accurate, and we apologize for any frustration that's causing for our customers.
Sorry, I was just going to ask on the back of that. I mean, you did say hopefully by Saturday. I mean, are people still going to get it back by Saturday now? Are you still hopeful?
We haven't changed that estimate at all. Our plan is to have the vast majority of our customers reconnected by 5 p.m. Saturday, and we will have many, many, many people restored along the way. There are people being restored as we speak. We're active in all parts of the city, right? As we speak, we have crews raising a transmission line over a Tulsa highway. When that is energized, that's going to solve problems for a lot of people. We're at work on this constantly.
Did have a question for Chief Baker. You mentioned about some fires or one fire that had happened today that was due to the power outage. Can you tell us some more specifics about that? What caused that fire? Where was that fire?
So that would have been yesterday afternoon. I think the fire came in about 5:30 in the afternoon. It was in the Midtown area, around 15th and Lewis. From initial reports, there was no power to the building, but I think part of the re-energizing of the system had actually gotten onto some cable television lines in the area. And so there was as the crews were working in the area, there was some re-energizing, and the system wasn't ready to take it. And so actually the hampering for firefighters at the time was really two things. Is first off, it was a very nice old structure in very good condition, but it had something called balloon frame construction. So the fire was running from the basement all the way to the top without any stop. So it was very challenging, but we did save the property and minimize damage. The second element is as they worked, they were getting electric shocks in certain areas of the building. So the most important part is that when we made the request for AEP PSO to send a troubleshooter out to get the situation under control for us, and they were there immediately, working not only with our team but also with a neighbor. And so that's the other part of this, is when we call for help, when your responders call, there are folks available to come out and handle our situations to keep firefighters and the residents safe.
I have two unrelated questions. So the mayor said that there's about 40% of the traffic signals that are still affected. What was what was it on Sunday? In other words, how many traffic signals were out originally? Anybody know?
It's been about the same.
I don't have that number right in front of me, so I don't want to give you a wrong answer, but I can follow up with you as soon as this is over.
I just wondered.
The guy who knows the answer is like 20 feet down the hall.
Okay.
We can find him.
Follow up and get back.
All right. And then for the chief, you've mentioned having extra people out looking for burglary and looting, that sort of thing. And I'm wondering since Sunday, if there has actually been an increase in that. I know you said yesterday you'd gone all night and didn't have any, but over the course of this, has there been more of that?
Well, that's a tough question to answer, because I would love to answer that question. The system that we use does not allow me to answer that question, because there is always a delay in those reports coming in from the various sources. So I can't give you a number on the number of burglaries that have occurred or any increases within this specified period, because it's just too early to be able to pull that type of data.
A safety-related question. We've seen an increase in carbon monoxide-related calls, and I wanted to see if there were any suggestions that you guys had to try to mitigate that, and give us a little bit of a brief understanding of how many calls you have responded to.
Let me get out the data here. So carbon monoxide calls were running. They increased on the 20th. We had a maximum of 18 that day, but then we dropped yesterday down to 8. So we're fairly optimistic that we had done good messaging, and as power is restored to different residents throughout the city, there's less reliance on generator. We did have a incident today related to a carbon monoxide event at a home. There was the suspected cause for that was that the generator was running too close to an open window. So the key part of that messaging is that if you do have a generator still running, ensure that it's not being drawn and the breeze is not bringing the exhaust back into the residence. So keep it as far of a distance as you can away from the house or the structure, and then make sure that the exhaust is pointed away or in an area that won't be drawn back in. So clearly, no running of generators within a garage and within the structure at all, but also be mindful of open windows and how the breeze is flowing through. So today we are seeing a little bit less, but that's also due to less generator utilization and more lines coming back on.
And then just to follow up to that, a couple more safety things, or I guess homeowners just being smart and aware. When you're using those generators, could you improperly using them affect PSO workers? And then in addition to that, the use of trustworthy contractors as well. I wanted to touch on that.
So, Wayne, do you want to take both of those?
You need to follow the instructions with your generator, and we strongly encourage people to connect their appliances directly to the generator and not to try to connect the generator to their fuse box. That endangers our crews, especially if it's not done in a proper fashion. Contractors. Joe
Franklin's the good guy that scares people about contractors.
Yeah, reference contractors. Again, you want a reputable contractor. You can find those by searching on Google, if you will, and looking at local.
All right, you have been listening live to the latest storm disaster recovery update from City of Tulsa leaders, as well as our first responders, the fire department, the cable system, and the police department as well. The mayor saying that 40% of our city's traffic signals are still not functioning. PSO saying their recovery efforts are going well. We are having some issues with, we can go right back to the press conference right now for you.
That's where the electric line goes into your house, and that has to be done by an electrician. That can't be done by PSO if it's been damaged. Needs to be repaired by an electrician, and the electrician has to get a permit from the city to guarantee that it's been done safely and then inspected. Announced yesterday, we are waiving all fees for that, so it's no cost to you or to the contractor, and we will turn those around in 24 hours. So, so far in this event, we've had 148 weatherhead repair permits filed already, and we've got crews out doing today 70 different inspections on those just today alone, and we've authorized overtime so those crews can be out getting those turned around as quickly as possible, and then we are reporting all of those to PSO so that PSO knows where it's safe to turn the power back on with these individual houses.
One more question.
I was just going to ask about the damage. You were talking about the homes and businesses that had been damaged there. Would you encourage people to report their damage to the state website, and would that help with the funding after the state of emergency declaration?
So this damage that we do is absolutely reports to the state. We're giving and sharing this information with the state as well as part of our initial damage assessment process. It's one of the normal routines that we follow with FEMA. In order to get a FEMA declaration. What we really urge people to do is, if you have damage to your property, really the most useful place for you to be reporting that damage is to your homeowner's insurance or your renter's insurance, as well as your landlord. So that's going to be the most useful thing for most people to report to. Reporting it to the state is fine. They're already going to have that data based off of our damage assessment that we have done.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, that is the latest live update on the storm response recovery efforts here in the city of Tulsa. We'll have more for you next on 2 News Oklahoma at 5, as well as on our website.